Welcome back to Castlevania Symphony of the Night Decompilation on Made Up of Wires. If you're not familiar with the Symphony of the Night Decompilation project, you can go to soten.z.dev to learn more. Appreciate everybody who has followed on Twitch or subscribed on YouTube. It really means a lot that people want to come back and keep doing this along with me. So what are we doing? We're doing just that, doing a matching decomp for Symphony of the Night. Wojek, probably butchering the pronunciation. Welcome, good to have you back. So before we get started, I just want to say there has been, I just learned about some kind of bummer news for some of the people in the decomp community. I'm not going to go into details about what it is, but I do want to just give a friendly reminder that the people that you interact with online and the people that you come across in your life may be going through things that you just can't know, can't comprehend, and thoughts and prayers to those going through a tough time at the moment. And maybe one day more will be said about that. Definitely not making light of anybody's circumstances, for sure. We've been working on... oh, it's Disick. Of course. Yeah, YouTube did change the display, didn't they? Yeah, usually I have your handle. Oh well. I should have... I read the... Usually it's in parentheses. Sorry, Disick. Appreciate it. Let me shut this down for a second. All right, so we've been working on the clock tower, and we're going to do that. I have some complications, not anything severe, just car work and other things like that I need to get done today. So I'm probably going to be a little bit short. One of the things that I've been working on is trying to synchronize as much of the PSP version of Clock Tower with the PlayStation version as possible. And one of the issues that was there when I imported this at first was the symbols were offset by 128 bytes. And instead of recalculating all the VRAM addresses for everything, probably would have been beneficial to just write a script to do that. I decided to nuke them all and just kind of incrementally add them as I'm going along and as I need them. And now I've gotten to the point where I want to... any of the code that could be shared on the PlayStation has been shared or decompiled. Really, it's just duplicate code. So I want to do as much of that for the PSP as possible, and that's kind of my last step before sending out a PR to get this integrated and up into GitHub. So what I've been doing is kind of manually going through and updating these symbols, and so I'm going to do a couple of those now, and then we'll go and find something new to decompile. Original Disick, good to have you back. 3, 2, 1, blast off. So to update symbols, basically, I mentioned this yesterday, symbol tables are used when we don't have the ability to dynamically link symbols. Usually we write a function in our programming language, and then we reference that function by name somewhere else, and the compiler takes those text names and converts them to addresses or link points in the binary where they can be assembled then or linked at runtime. And we don't have that advantage necessarily, so we need a way to share offsets or those addresses between C code and assembly code, and we do that with symbol tables. So in the symbol table we give the name that we want to a particular assembly function or global variable, along with the address, the VRAM address for that. VRAM is virtual memory address. And then we have to correspondingly update any references to assembly files that might be affected by that. And so what I'm doing is going through, updating all those names. All of these should come in the same order that they exist in this prim helpers file. It may not be quite that easy. We'll see. I did come across, I was working on ST Common, Stage Common. And Stage Common, it looks like this is the same drat. Double drat. There's dead code stripping. So it's a little more complicated than just doing these in order. I have to figure out which functions are actually there. So we have a few more than that are defined in the file. So dead code stripping, we don't see this on the PlayStation, but the PSP does have it enabled. And what happens is we have an entry point that's defined in an external file, which is the load function for each overlay. And at link time, what will happen is the linker will look at that entry point function, look at all of the other functions it calls, all of the global variables that it references, and compile all of those into a big list. And then any global or global variable or function that's not in that list will get culled and will not be in the final binary. And so on the PlayStation, we can look at the list of functions, and it is just the ones, everything that is in the C file originally is there. On the PSP, only the functions that are referenced are there. So I actually have to, I think I have to back out this change because I don't know which of these it's actually going to be, which is a bummer. One thing I can do is, let me make sure this still builds. I can replace this with the version that's currently being used for the PlayStation. Oh, unfortunately I can't, because that is also not decompiled yet. I thought this one was, or had been decompiled. So never mind. I'm looking at the wrong file here. So this was Prim Helpers. Usually Prim Helpers is a pretty straightforward one to import. I don't know why that's not done. I can't remember why. I know E-Lock Camera. There is some funny things going on there. So really what's remaining is ST Common, and I'm running into the same thing there where there's functions that I don't have the symbols for yet. And with the dead code stripping, I don't know which functions they are. I know that they come in order, but I don't know which functions are being excluded at the moment. So I think I'm going to leave that there where it is for now, and we'll find something to decompile and hopefully get some more of those symbols along the way. Something like unknown prim helper is, or toggle visibility, update animation. Update animation is actually a good one. We can find things that reference that in the US assembly. And we can try to so update animation, it looks like it's not there. We could try to find functions that are being referenced. I'm guessing unknown prim helper is used internally in prim helpers, but I'm not sure. maybe not. It is part of Sword Lord, and there is another function that references it. So we already have that one. First unknown prim. How about that? Not referenced. Toggle visibility. Not referenced. Unknown poly. Let's try prim reset. We'll try that one first. Unknown polyfunc is referenced as well, and we don't have that yet. So let's take this function, which we currently don't have any reference for, and we'll start working on that one. So that is in this file. There's no, so we know there may or may not be about 4 functions here. I'm not sure if this was around. No, I would have had a comment here if it was around the Astral Sword. So let's take a look at this and see what it is. It might be something new. How big is this function? Not too bad. And we could go through and try to find it as well. I don't like that I can't middle click the new button anymore. Web devs, keep in mind that people still do middle click. There's a few of us, dozens of us, dozens! So M2C identified this as a entity function, which is good. Update the signature. I think what we should do is, I'll look this up. Make sure this isn't the one that I did yesterday. So we should, when we pull the PSP version of this, we should be able to get unknown polyfunc 2, where that symbol is. So that's one more. And unknown polyfunc 2, I think, references one of the other functions, so we should be able to get 2 symbols out of that. Let's see what this is. Over to DuckStation. Let me get my controller plugged in. We're going to grab the auto-generated address. No, that's not the button I wanted. Throw that into the debugger as a breakpoint. And we'll see if we can find it. If so, that there is a possibility that this is Harpies Can't Hurt Me Now. We still have all the code in place to prevent the harpies from doing anything but collision damage. So let's see, we have some enemies over here. So this can be Spectral Sword, Sword Lord. And then there should be, I'm pretty sure this is where the, I think it's listed as Giant Bro. I think there's Giant Bros over here somewhere, aren't there? think I can get around up here. It might be below the... Of course I walk into it. Oh. Low on health. There was a comment, can I turn off the after shadow of Alucard with the decompiled code? Yes, you would be able to turn off the after shadow. This is a hidden room. Nothing there. Are giant bros not... Are they in the inverted version of this? I really thought that there were giant bros here. Alright, let's go back up by the Fleeman. I can't recall anything up there. Let's try to not get killed. So we have the clock puzzle, but or the gear puzzle. I think that would have triggered though. We have this guy up here. So destroy me. And I already got everything up here. So what else could this be? Oh, I'm gonna die soon. There we go. Fortunately, I have a save point. The breakpoint might get triggered here in Castle Keep. And now into Wing Smash. Usually it's easy with an analog controller. This... I think this originally is a... Is it a boss fight, or is it just another enemy? It's a one-time enemy. There'll be a castle flag associated with it. I think it's a boss fight, though, but I might be wrong about that. So we'll go back. I want to look at the right side of the clock tower. And if... I can't remember whether or not the right side of the clock tower allows you to go outside. I'm gonna take that. Or if you go through a red door. Oh, my code. We reloaded the stage, so my disabling all the harpy stuff is now missing. So I have to deal with harpies again. Don't have the holy symbol. Damage boosting. Alright, let's get out of here. So we do have this whole area over here, so if... can I Wing Smash? So we do have the possibility, so there's Skull Lord, which we know was in there. That segment has already been found. So none of these are triggering. There we go. As with the D-pad. Magic missile. Oh, can I not get up here? Alright, so here's the right red door. So we still haven't triggered that function though. Let's go up to the top. I think there's a room up here. We'll check that out. In the reverse castle, there's like the guy who loses his head. We can see what... Oh, there might be a couple other things that could be. So it may be a support entity for one of the enemy attacks. And I didn't really stick around to watch those. So not sure what it is right now. We'll come back. Hey, Dig Down Deep, good to have you back. Just looking at clock tower stuff. Trying to figure out where or what this function might be used for. And didn't find it off the bat. But let's go through it. Using this function to find more symbols on the PSP version. So we have einit particle. Another einit. So it is a particle effect. Hey Roaming, good to have you back. Uh, 51, there is a symbol that isn't being resolved. So this may be a 32-bit assignment, and I think that's what's happening here. That this, or maybe even a 16-bit assignment. Yeah, I think a 16-bit assignment is being done here, collapsing two 8-bit assignments. That's going to be my guess. So we'll fix that in a second. Actually, I'm going to do... we're only looking at B3. Let's look at what offset 1C is. Yeah, so I think it's R2 and G2. And so we're doing a 16-bit assignment. So one of these is going to be 16 and the other is going to be 0. Which one it is, I can never remember. So 1E is going to be D2, but it also ends up setting P2, and I can't remember what the P fields are used for. But we'll do this for now, and then see if we got it right. That's kind of my method of going about things. Get it close, make an assumption, and if it's wrong, the compiler will tell you. And then you can go fix it. Check collision. SP10 probably already has a collider. We usually call that collider. And so we will. 78 is the last one. This is going to be the effects of the collider. We'll rename that collider. Collider's a struct, and usually a local collider is used on the stack. There's a couple variables in here that I want to replace. Looking at this, overall it's a pretty clean decomp. 43, some issues there. They may be, so I'm pretty sure these are going to be inlined like that, and probably inverted. This is probably done in line. There may be something else. So this is subtracting 7C, and then this is adding F back to it. My guess is that this is probably duplicated. We'll try it like that, but it's probably minus. Not 6D, 6E. Not quite right. We'll get it eventually. 47. So this is where I thought possibly this is a store of two things. Let's try a 0 here and 16 for the G and see if that turns it into a store half. It doesn't. So there's a few things that, so we definitely do have a primitive. I'm going to rename temp v0. I'm going to rename that prim. Sorry, prim index. Temp S0 is going to be prim, and I think we can reuse that for temp S0 underscore 2 as well. It looks like it. So I'll do that one first. Get rid of one of these. Temp V0. Just call that entity. A few more things I want to clean up before getting into some of these other issues. The destroy entity here, we'll be able to do that like this. Usually, if possible, this else is our cases are funny. Let's untangle this switch. It's an irregular switch, and what has happened is GCC merged some of the switch conditionals with some of the some other conditional logic, and so we have to try to untangle that. So usually, here, if prim index is not equal to -1, we're going to do this. We're going to invert that and say if it is equal to -1, we're going to destroy and return. And that allows us to indent the rest of this like would be normally expected. and break, and it should be effectively the same. There's a few GAPI calls here. Those symbols need to be updated to point to the fields in the struct. We have a sound effect ID, which is helpful. We'll go find that in a second. So there is an addition happening here for the first parameter. We might have a separate variable for that because that addition is happening earlier. Not sure yet what's going on. The T page, I'm guessing that these are going to be done inline. I don't think that's going to change how this gets compiled, but I don't think it's a separate variable for that. Let's just get rid of our V0. Do we have these? We still do have these. So we have a random velocity. It's being converted into a PlayStation fixed. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is inlined. And do I have it int float? Let's check that. Yeah, we have ida float. All right, so the sticky points are what is actually going on here. I guess there's a few more of these that are pass-through assignments that can be fixed. The ordering of many of these things may not be correct. 45 is where some of the issues start. So we have macros that would allow us to treat this as a 16-bit value, so I could wrap this in this load half macro, and that would probably produce the instructions that that you'd want, but the logic doesn't necessarily make sense. And so I do think grabbing the PSP version is probably the best thing to do at this point. We do have a sound effect ID that can be used, and that should make it relatively easy to find. And yes, yeah, thanks original Dizik. It'll be float 8. What's odd though, so it could be fixed 0.5, and that's probably the better representation of it. What's strange, do we have an I to fix? Yes, we do. So velocity X should be a fixed. So we can do this, and we should see this actually on the PSP version as well. So we'd have to take this and then shift it back 4. Is that really what? So the preprocessor will convert that into the shift 12 that we want. It's just a little odd. We'll see on the PSP if that's the way that it actually is, or if they're shifting one way or the other. It could be a division as well. I doubt it's a division, but it could be. So we're going to take this sound effect ID. Let's look it up. Quick stutter explode. So we already know what the flea armor explodes, but we already know what that is. Do the halberd guys, do they explode? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We can also look at some of the other functions in that file and see if those are related. So I'm going to take that 683. I'm going to use that to find the equivalent function in the PSP version of the game. There's only one function that uses that sound effect. And we should be able to create a... Just let me middle click. Come on. Oh, why did it change? Middle clicking links to open new tabs. I first came across that, I think, in Linux many, many years ago. And I was happy to see that OS X, as it was called back in the day, adopted it. And it's been basically a requirement for me for 20 plus years to be able to middle click. So every mouse that I buy, I have to make sure that I can middle click on it. Some of the Apple mice don't middle click. Not without some additional software anyway. So let's look at how close we are here. 71%. Let's go down and look at some of these. My guess is that there may be some out of order stuff here, but I'm curious about how these values are getting saved. And we do have a store half here. That is odd. So there may be some type of incorrect type. It looks like they overrode the behavior of, like, it's no longer a link and it's probably a button. Oh, go away, exceptions. Yeah, it used to be a link and now it's a button. So from a UI perspective, it's probably more correct for it to be a button than a link, but from my own workflow and sanity, it made more sense to be a link. So there's a couple things I want to see. So it is a store half, and that's odd. So that may mean that we do need to put a macro around it to treat it as a 16-bit value. We're off by 4 bytes. That's because primitive is a slightly different shape on the PSP, and so I have to go up and add a dummy here. My guess it's not based on anything other than assumptions. The Xbox 360 version came out just a few months before the PSP version. It was done by an external development team from Konami. But my guess is that to make primitive 30 or 64-bit safe for the Xbox 360, they basically padded these values and pushed them out a little bit. And so occasionally we'll see this where we need to pad pointers to 64 bits, even though they're 32-bit values. I am going to take a peek at M2C and what M2C is doing. It has the same thing here where it is treating that as a 16-bit value. That's odd. It's not common. And the other issue in this area, let's see what they do have the 12-bit shifts, and they do put this in a variable, possibly. Oh, no. I'm looking... Somehow I got back to the PlayStation version. Let's go back here. Too many tabs. Nested tabs. Yeah, thank you, Dizik. I figured it out. I got there eventually. Anyway, so we have the 32-bit, or sorry, 16-bit stores that are happening here. Odd. The velocity X was in fact being reread and set. Let's see if the shift 12 and shift back, if that compiles to the right thing. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Yeah, so unfortunately, this has to be a shift by 12. Usually a shift by 12 indicates that it's a fixed wrong direction. And I will throw parentheses around that to make it unambiguous. Need a few more. I just need to fix the order here. And then, yeah, do this kind of gross. So we wrap it in the load half macro. The way that macro works is by making a pointer to the field, and then casting that pointer as a signed 16, and then dereferencing that pointer. And so that's a trick that you can do in C that you can't really do in other languages, but that gives the behavior that you want. It is bizarre. I was gonna say what could be these are contiguous in memory, and so it could be like a mem copy, but it's not a place to do a mem copy. So that's weird. I'll just leave it at that. Let's look at how V0 is being set. It does look like it is a separate variable. A little strange, though. V0 is usually not used for variables. So we have a signed 16. We'll call this vpos. U and V are texture coordinates. They are equivalent to X and Y in normal space, like screen space. All right, so we have the 84. It's loaded first. And then a plus equals. Yeah, that's odd. And so we're getting S register. Oh, we do have an S register, S1. So that's okay. So our variable usage looks correct. So 84 is 132. So I think the only thing that is wrong is our register now. And so when we fix this other stuff, we should be able to resolve that as well. Temp v0, temp v0, those are both necessary. It's possible that this, I don't want to say that this is going to be a pass-through. We'll keep it like that for now. 26, prim index. There's a SEH. It looks like that's going to be a sine 32. Usually prim index is a sine 16. Self's prim index is getting set early. And then I think it's being read back. Not quite. What does M2C say? Oh, we're setting flags first. A little strange. So we have some register issues that may be due to variable ordering. $35. Unknown polyfunc 2. Let's look at the signature for that. It's a single primitive, and so we don't need this move to the A1 register. And this gives us our address for that. So I'm gonna go back and grab this address right now, because that's why I wanted this file to begin with. So we need the symbol table for the PSP version of the game. $58 and $59. Just, I'm not too worried about the PlayStation at this point, but I'm gonna go back and check it. We might actually have a match or a near match. Still some issues down below, so same issues that are over here, and we'll check those out. A 2000 is going to be 1/8. The last one of these that I did, Project Oblivion, was not necessarily happy with my use of fractions. I find in most cases fractions easier to read than decimal values. I learned at some point, though, that that may be an Americanism because of our measurement system. Europeans tell me if that's true. In America, we like our fractions, and most places in the world prefer decimal. That could be. We're getting an unsigned load here instead of a signed load. Our offset is correct. So it's a little bizarre. True, Dizzik says true that. Hates the fractions. Decimal's the way to go. Until you can't represent a number without infinite values. Sure. 1 divided by 3, go. All right, so the last issue really is, and it looks like we have the answer up here. There's this S4. It's being attributed to line 68 right now, but that may be a variable beforehand. So S4 eventually is going to go into the A0 register, which is X. So I think we have a pos X and pos Y variable. So let's add those. And I should have named pos V exactly that, but I'll fix that in a second. So we'll take pos X here, and this will give us our sign extensions that we need once this is in place. And that gives us all of our sign extensions. So we do have oh my goodness. You don't put a little line over it? That's what we do in America. We put a line, overline over our repeating variables, or repeating digits. All the things you learn when decompiling. All right, so I do need to track. I'm going to rename vpos posv. Posv may not exist. It may be reusing one of these other positions. I do want to go through and track those registers though and see if I can tell what and where I might have screwed up. Still don't like this. 65, we're gonna, it's, yeah, having the T page as a sign value doesn't make sense. But we'll wrap that in the load half macro as well. That makes me think that next is being treated as something else. So there's a couple different shapes. The primitive struct, it's used throughout the code. It is kind of a modification of polygt4, so it is a polygt4 struct, but there's some padding fields in polygt4. Polygt4 is polygon of 4 sides, so you could imagine using a 4-sided polygon as the surface for your sprites makes a lot of sense, and since it's a sprite-based game, there's a lot of polygt4s. And what's nice is by making primitive, using that padding, those padding fields in primitive, they can take this additional data and stick it in something that the SDK is going to be able to use. So let's look at some of these. I still have one extra variable. What I'm trying to find is whether or not that Yeah, so this S1 ends up being the same one. So I think pos X here is going to be pos, no, it should be pos Y. And then we can get rid of pos V, and it looks like that might have done it. Let's just double check. So that looks good on the PSP. And we're going to go look at the PlayStation as well. And the PlayStation looks like that fell in line. And I'm not going to go back and recompile this at the moment. It might work, it might be fine, but I'm a little concerned about it shifting things like we've seen with the PSP, and my build at the moment is focused on the PSP while I'm trying to work out those symbols. This is the only function I'm going to work on today. Like I said, I have to go deal with some car things. So thanks for joining again. Go to soten.z.dev to learn more. Yeah, distance. Dizix says the most confusing thing is distance. I wish we would destroy our our imperial units and measures. I always think it's funny that when they show maps of the metric system, and it's everywhere except for the United States and North Korea. There's a few other countries that don't use the metric system, but it's definitely very few, and it is definitely an outdated system. We have a city actually in the south of my state that did convert to metric sometime in the 90s when all the politicians were telling us that we were going to do just that. And now my kids, 30 years later, are still learning imperial units. Yeah. The SI system is superior. It definitely is. Weights is the same. The weights in the United States are just bonkers. Volumes, all of it. But that's all. Soten.z.dev to learn more. Be kind to your neighbor. That's all I got. Adios.